What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm really struggling for content at the moment. It's been months since I've uploaded anything car related, and I think I need to get back on the sort of YouTube hype and get some content out. Obviously it is lockdown 3.0 here in England, so it's been really hard because you're not allowed to go anywhere. So I have to maintain my vehicles because I'm a key worker, so I have to travel to and from work still. But it means I don't really get the opportunity to go anywhere, and there's nothing to bring them to. So I thought today I'd just do a POV video of me driving the GTR and explaining how the ECUTek RaceROM stuff works. So that means changing the maps, what buttons you press on the infotainment system to change it all, how you change the boost and all that good stuff. And it's important to note this is ECUTek revision 8, so this is the 2019 release of the software. And this is what Litchfield have used to tune my GTR to the nigh on 700 horsepower that it has. 680, 670, something around there anyway, but it is ridiculously fast and it is great fun, especially when that boost kicks in. It's cold today, it's about -1, we've got a tiny bit of snow in the sky, obviously none of it's settling or anything, and the tarmac is actually pretty dry, so hopefully we will actually get some of the power down and use the car properly today and show you guys how to switch maps. Also, if you're in the States, a lot of people use COB, which is like a little reader you can use to flash the ECU, and the COB readers are actually much more popular over there, I believe, and they're pretty much the same thing, except for you switch which map you use on the little screen of the COB reader, where mine's actually integrated onto the OEM ECU. And you can get Bluetooth accessories to actually use your phone to change the things like the size of the pops and bangs, what map you're in, your torque vectoring split for how much power you want going to the rear versus the front wheels. But basically I've got it all just integrated into the car. Everything's pretty much default, and all I can control is map and boost and traction control. But without further ado, let's jump in the GTR and give it some exercise and show you guys how to drive a POV ECUTek GTR. Welcome to the GTR's cockpit or driver's seat. Well, I've got a few issues. We've always got a few issues, but my cancel button on the steering wheel, which is what I hold down to change maps down there, is currently getting a bit sticky where it's so cold out because it's sub-zero today. So that's why I actually have to hold down to change maps, and as you can see, it changes on the dial what map I'm selecting. So map 1 is the low fuel octane map, so this means I can run any 95 octane or above petrol with 5% ethanol, which is standard here in England, and is basically like, if you can only find cheap fuel, you use map 1. It retards the ignition timing slightly, and that means you can use cheap fuel, but of course it means you must reduce your boost, or you could run into knock and damage your engine because of like pre-ignition and stuff like that. Then, you know, if it's the fuel igniting when it shouldn't be in the combustion cycle. So to avoid that, they lower the ignition timings and the boost for map 1. And then in any map, just get my dice out of the way there, you can select your amount of boost you can push. Now obviously you can put it to the max boost in map 1, which is 18.8 psi or 1.3 bar, and this is obviously on the standard turbochargers. However, you adjust that boost using the cruise control up and down switch here, but obviously if you're in map 1, they recommend keeping it below 15 psi just to be safe, so you don't cause knock or anything in the engine. Now map 2 is 97 RON, which is, or 97 octane, and I believe that can go up to about 16-17 psi, so around there probably safe for map 2 if you can only find stuff like BP Ultimate, I believe. So that's basically for that map. And then map 3 is your highest octane fuel rating map, and that is V-Power 99 or 100 octane fuel, and that means you can push it all the way up to 18.8 psi. I also have a 4th map you can select, but this map to select on the steering wheel will actually disable all of the Litchfield's custom traction control they've tested over the tracks for years and years, and basically means ESC off. So this switch here that usually turns the traction control into race or off actually doesn't do anything now, but obviously the LEDs still work, and the traction control is selected by selecting map 3 or 4, But as I'm not Lewis Hamilton, I tend to select map 3 for virtually everything apart from maybe a quick little burnout to warm the tyres up before a drag race. I basically select map 3 for everything, and then these buttons down here still work as standard for your shift timings and throttle response, as well as your damper and suspension hardness. So UKB roads, that has to be in comfort because this car is solid as anything anyway. And we'll put this in race for now, and we'll show you what map 3, which I believe we're already in, map 3 and peak boost is like. Bear in mind though, the roads are a bit cold today, so we're going to have to take it relatively easy, because I don't think we're actually going to be able to put all the power down in second and third gear. I think we're going to be lighting all 4 of my tyres up. And just for reference, the tyres we are running on are actually Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2s, which are some hella sticky rubber. And we're also running 305s in the rear and 285s up front, so not a square setup like a lot of muscle cars and that have, but more of a supercar setup. And 305s in the rear are bloody big tyres and should mean we can get a fair bit of that power down, even if not all of it, even in these conditions where it is dry, thankfully, but definitely a little cold. So we have to get a little bit of heat in the tyres first and see what we can do. Yeah, obviously you've got the flappy paddles back here to use it, and you can hear how loud this car is in terms of its engine drone with the Litchfield downpipes and mid-pipe and everything that I'm currently running. So hopefully we can get a little bit of space between us and the car in front, and on a straight we can put our foot down in second. So I'll downshift into a better place in the rev range, so sort of second gear we'll have peak boost on this straight down here, well, relative straight. We can see what it pulls like. So you watch that mile an hour, this is the national speed limit of course. So that there, I will have to use some editing magic and blur that speedo out, but rest assured that if it weren't for the CGI magic, that may have been 3 digits. Absolutely crazy from that little pull there. So that's peak boost, and we were spinning the tyres then as well, but basically it's a completely, this is obviously manual mode. We'll do a little pull of whip again now. So we'll go like 40 to 60 or something. That's it, that's all you get, that's 40 to well past 60, like that. So in this mode, at this level of boost, using the traction control and everything, it's an absolute beast. You know, it's got rolling launch as well, so if you want to, you can actually do a roll on to the, it'll actually sort of pre-build boost with the throttle, and then when you press cancel on the cruise control, it will launch. But to be honest, at the moment, I don't think the tyres or the roads are warm enough to actually use rolling launch, and especially not static launch control. But it's all pretty self-explanatory really. You set a cruise control speed, you mash the throttle, and when you press cancel, it dumps the clutch on boost at whatever your cruise control speed was set to, which is just ridiculous. I'll try and do a rolling. I'll do a third gear rolling launch so you can see how it works. But basically, if I go down into, say, you can shift while you're in cruise obviously, but if I set the cruise control now to let's say 40, I could do this in second obviously, but that would be really stupid because it would just light the tyres up. But like this, and you mash the throttle and cancel, you can see even in third there, the amount of torque that it delivers is absolutely ridiculous for a road car. You can cancel the cruise control mode and go back to driving normally. But yeah, so that's if someone wants a rolling race, because a lot of people will say, oh, you've got 4-wheel drive, from a dig you're obviously going to win, let's do a rolling race from 30 or something. And that instant torque, that anti-lag, basically means if something with instant torque like a Tesla or a Lamborghini that's got more power on demand because it doesn't require to build boost because it's just got a big engine, this can then compete because you've got the boost ready for when you press cancel, so that you've got peak power and peak torque on demand. Obviously at the risk of blowing your clutch up, as I've found out myself, but you know, you can't have lots and lots of power and not risk things going wrong. But if you're going to use it a lot, I would highly recommend upgrading your clutch baskets to Dodson or Extreme ones, but maybe even add a few clutch plates and clutch packs and stuff, and clutch seals, just to have a little bit of peace of mind. At the moment, my whole transmission and powertrain is stock, but ECU remap, exhaust, and intakes. So it's pretty almost standard, this car really. It's also got a standard number of injectors, so 6 injectors. This is what's known as stage 4.25. So 4.25 is basically just bolt-on mods, everything apart from turbochargers really, and obviously standard intercooler. So basically just like the basic bolt-ons and an ECU remap. But it just shows that, you know, you get nearly 700 horsepower out of that config, and that's just a crazy amount of horsepower to have. As if I switch all my switches down there into comfort, and I put it into say automatic and lower the boost to virtually nothing, this then becomes an absolute pussycat. You know, we're cruising in top gear at 37 mile an hour, and we're just sort of, you know, we're literally just rolling along. Throttle response is deadened massively, so even if I accidentally full throttle right now for a few seconds, you know, you don't go into a wall instantly because it has to think about it and shift and build boost. And also it limits the throttle response, so it's never actually sort of a genuine 100%. It's very intuitive, and I think, apart from the fact that the ride quality of this car is so harsh, in comfort mode and with the boost turned off, you can quite comfortably use this car as a daily, really, as long as you can afford your own shares in Shell, which are probably going to be a necessity because it is a bit of a thirsty girl, aren't you? So if I switch to map 1 now, I'll show you something cool. So basically it's also got pops and bangs map, and for that all you really need to do is, I personally put the transmission and throttle response into comfort so it's less jerky. You have to put the suspension down there into race mode, and then in manual you have to bring the revs over 4,000 RPM, aim for around 6, then let off the throttle and tickle it ever so gently just to open the throttle bodies up. It'll dump raw fuel into the exhaust and create flames and explosions out the exhaust, which just sound and look ridiculous. However, it's bad for the turbos because of the back pressure those explosions generate, so you should use it seldomly, but it is a pretty cool feature when you go like this. I'm sure you guys heard that, but it is a very cool sound, and it's quite unique to the GTR, having quite such ridiculous aftermarket support for pops and bangs. Now, assuming you don't want to control all this from your gauge cluster on your steering wheel, you can get a Bluetooth app for £300 for a license for it, and then you can control the size of the flames, the size of the pops, so you can control what the pops and bangs are like. But personally, I didn't want my car linked to Bluetooth. I'm happy with it all just sort of set to automatic, really. That's absolutely fine for me, and was definitely all I needed in terms of functionality, because I think adding stuff to your phone means it can go out of date quick, and I want this car to sort of be all analog still and managed by its own dashboard. But if you could honestly sit next to me and see how loud that is, passers-by genuinely duck. It's so antisocial, and you probably shouldn't be using that on the road. So let's go back up to our high octane map, into comfort, and cruise and get on with our day. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed that super quick tutorial about how to drive an ECUTek tuned GTR, specifically ECUTek Gen 8. I would kind of recommend getting the Bluetooth dongle, simply for the reason you will wear out your cancel button if you don't. But other than that, it is perfect, and 680 brake or 670 brake, whatever the hell I'm pushing around that number, feels absolutely ridiculous, and it is literally like warp speed, and your vision just goes, and it's like absolutely insane. Anyway guys, next video I'm actually going to be talking about my other mod on the GTR, which I haven't mentioned in this video. I've mentioned it previously, but I want to go over it in more detail, and that is the carbon fibre wing I have on the back, because the manufacturer of this carbon wing is actually quite special, so involved with Formula 1, and I think the wing requires a dedicated video, but mainly I'm really struggling for content, so we're going to be looking at that really cool carbon wing next video. Peace out.